So, in the topic of disaster recovery process, rehabilitation is nothing but rehabilitate, which means giving the life which they lost, and recovery, how we are going to overcome, how we are going to compensate the loss we have faced, and as well as how we are going to reconstruct the building, or how we are going to reconstruct the things what we have lost in the disaster. So, very first thing is the assessment. For example, now at the time of February, there was no cases in India. I mean, in Corona. But now there are number of thousands and thousands of cases are recording in India, and few cases are recovering. So this is the process. So even the Corona is a very big medical disaster, uh, which is a disease is spreading all over the, which is a pandemic all over the world. So now government duty to during disasters. So they have to assess what is the loss, and they have to assess what is the process we have to take to recover the such kind of lost, and they have to assess both. So very first thing is damage assessment. Damage assessment is a preliminary on-site by an accident or natural event, which means, so here, for example, take for example the natural calamities like tsunami, earthquake, or cyclone. Which is not a man-made disaster, or if it is a train accident, or if it is a air clash. So these are all the things come to the man-made disaster. Though both the disasters are giving a same kind of impact, but the where duty and government is duty bound to give the proper the rehabilitation process. How we have to rehabilitate the victims. Very first thing is there will be a psychological impact for the victims. First one, and secondly, there will be a financial lacuna for the victims, and thirdly, there will be a habit. There won't be a habitat. There won't be food. So government will consider of responsibility towards the victims who lost their livelihood. So damage assessment is a preliminary on-site way the damage of the victims. Very first. And next one is loss caused by the accident or by the natural event. For example, if uh, in motor vehicles act, if anyone lost their of the body, which means a leg or hand, or if take for example in labor law, if the person is affected, if the person lost the finger, it depends on the loss. Government will give a compensation. Likewise, what kind of damage is caused by the accident, and what kind of damage, how much of damage the victim is suffering. So they have to assess it. They have to assess, and they will make a proper move to take care of the such kind of rehabilitation process and reconstruction process and a recovery process. So next one is damage assessment. Record the extent of damage, what can be replaced, restored, and salvaged, which means which can be recovered. For example, if it is a impact on human, we cannot recover completely, but we can compensate for the such kind of loss. For example, in tsunami, fishery people lost their livelihood. So government, what they did, they made a construction, they made a concrete construction in their own place itself. So this kind of process is a rehabilitative as well as a recovery process. So if the recovery process may be lesser than the loss. For example, if it is a human impact, they cannot give a proper the recovery which is useful for their livelihood, but they cannot recover at most extent. Either they will give more or they will give less. If it is construction, if it is any by the like a kind of building, they lost the building or they lost their land, or when it create an impact in a human body, the recovery process will be lesser than the replacement and recovery. For example, take for example again, in flood 2015, the government arranged all kind of rehabilitative as well as restoration process, restoration process within the time period. But in tsunami, they built the construction and it took certain time period. It took years and years because the kind of recovery the government want to give to the people, want to give to the victims differ from each natural calamities, various natural calamities. So the time required for the repair, replacement, and recovery, it depends on the loss they are facing. And next one is, it is an integral part of facilitating effective, efficient response by government agencies and other organizations. Here, other organization is nothing but the non-governmental organization or organization which is duty bound to give the livelihood to the victims who lost their life in a disaster. The good damage assessment would start as evacuation, sheltering, search and rescue, mass casualty management, etc. Which means evacuation, which means nothing but evacuate from the one place, and sheltering, give shelter to the people. One who is give shelter to the people. Orissa, from now to make damage assessment would be conducted as soon as possible after the disaster. But the assessor must put their own safety first. Means the assessor should make themselves safe, then only they can make a proper assessment. Without their safety, we cannot get the proper outcome, which means the assessment will be differ from place to place. And only if the assessor is giving the proper assessment, the government will act according to it. So now the types of assessment, which means the types of damage assessment. The first one is initial situation overview, ISO, initial situation overview. Next one is initial damage assessment. Next one is damage assessment and needs analysis. And fourth one is damage and loss assessment. First one is the initial situation overview. Here in this case, initial situation overview. What is the situation at the time of the disaster? Which means at the time, the present, once the disaster occurred, at the time of the disaster, what is the situation? What is the situation therein? So that is the very basic first stage of disaster. The initial situation overview is carried out to obtain as quickly as possible a broad picture of the extent of damage caused by the impact. So the disaster, what kind of disaster and what kind of impact created, it should be recorded in very first stage itself. That is the initial situation overview. It has to be submitted to the government as soon as possible within 8 hours after the event and focuses on issues such as various population as well as the damage of lifelines and critical facilities. So these are all the things has to be considered in an initial stage of the disaster. And secondly, it is largely based on it is largely based on the observation. It is largely based on the observation and official through the general reconfined rather than detailed field assessment. We cannot do the detailed field assessment at the initial stage itself. So that should be there is a need of time. That time is 8 hours. So within 8 hours, we have to produce, we have to give all kind of assessment to the government, and government will take proper necessity, proper actions to overcome the such kind of disaster. So we cannot overcome the disaster in the initial stage itself, but we can rehabilitate, but we can make the victims to sit, or we can make the victims to place in a safer place, such as like a school, such as like a colleges, or such as like a municipal offices. So such kind of places is very safe for the victims at the initial stage of the disaster. Only if the assessment is proper, the government will take a necessary action to overcome this kind of disasters. Then the information from the initial situation overview allows national, local officials to determine immediate action necessary to respond to the effects of the hazard. So as we saw earlier in the previous point, so only if the assessment is proper, only if the assessment is perfect in overall manner, the government will take all kind of necessary steps to take care of the hazard. So initial stage, which means initial situation overview, depends on the various modes. For example, there will be an interview to the public, there will be a photographs, or there will be a newspaper cutting, or there will be any kind of modes which communicate to the government for the purpose of the initial situation overview for the assessment of the damages. So we would have come across with a lot of interviews in previous disasters like tsunamis, cyclones, or such kind of things. And all. The people will come forward and they will meet a press, and the press will, the mass media will spread a huge amount of assessment, and the government will assess the damages, and then they will provide the need. Next one is development of physical and economical structure. So how the government is going to work in an assessment for the reconstruction, rehabilitation, and recovery. So whether the government have any kind of exclusive 5-year plan, or whether the government have any kind of exclusive legislation, which means we have a legislation which is called a Disaster Management Act, but there won't be a exclusive 5-year plan. There is no document for the such kind of act, and the government will not provide optimistically for the financial crisis due to the disaster. So there will be a calamity relief and there will be a ministry fund. So for example, take for example in a corona, uh, government of India as well as the state of Tamil Nadu, they are working together, but the fund is collected by the central government as well as by the state government. So there won't be a fund allotted by the government before the disaster, but the government will allot the fund after the disaster. So there won't be an optimistic principle to be followed by the government in the process of taking care of the such kind of disaster management. But they will be having the calamity relief. So now they evaded the fund of ministers. Every fund of ministers, there won't be a minister's fund for the next 2 years because they are going to use the fund for the disaster, the present disaster. The disaster is nothing but is the corona, COVID-19. So such kind of assessment, so such kind of relief fund will be allotted at the time of the disaster, but there won't be any kind of assessment in a previous year, or there won't be any kind of assessment, or there will be any kind of fund allocation for the disaster before it occurs. So next one is the traditional perception has been limited to the idea of calamity relief, which is seen essentially as a non-planned item of expenditure. Good. So every December, Tamil Nadu is facing some kind of natural disaster. So government will allot, according to the traditional perceptions, government will allot certain funds in the name of the calamity relief. But there won't be any kind of 5-year plans. There won't be any kind of financial assessment. Or there won't be any kind of financial allotment exclusive for the disaster. But they will allot fund only as a perception, not as a mandate one. So next one is how the impact of major disaster cannot be mitigated by the provision of immediate relief alone, which is primary focus of calamities relief efforts. So they are very clear about it. When there is a disaster, only if it is a normal disaster. For example, if only one person is affected because of the disaster. For example, the disaster, the baby fall in a well. So they gave the fund. They allocated the fund for the family within a certain time period, within a week or within a 10 days. But when it comes to the huge number of people, the government cannot allot the fund as soon as possible. So the mitigation process will take time when the population is higher. So according to the disaster management, the government will allocate the fund in a perception, but not as a mandate one. So now, disaster can have devastating effects on the economy. They cause huge human and economic losses and can significantly set back the development efforts of region or a state. Two recent disasters like Odisha cyclone and Gujarat earthquake, and as well as in a Chennai flood or Varda. So all these kind of things comes under the purview of the huge disaster. Uh, Still, the government is funding for the such kind of relief materials for the person one who is affected because of the disaster. So, lot of cases filed by the country has integrated administrative machinery for the management of disaster at national, district, as well as at sub-district level. So every disaster management, every country has a own kind of team for the disaster management, as well as the every district has its state as well as the sub-district level. So disaster is something which has to be act collectively. The single person cannot face the disaster, cannot take over the responsibility for the disaster. So every, for example, now take for example, it is now the disaster, medical disaster called as a corona. We are suffering all over the universe. So every country is taking responsibility to overcome this kind of disaster. In federal government, they are having the certain schemes. In state government, they having the certain schemes. In district level, they have the certain schemes. So everyone acting according to the situation, and they will take a responsibility, and they are acting for it. So this is a very good example for the various part or various bodies of the government is taking care of the disaster. Very for another one thing is the central government supplements the efforts of the state by providing financial as well as the logistics support. For example, the state government is collecting the fund for their own state, as well as the state will demand the finance from the certain amount of fund from the central government. What is the purpose behind it? Because state government need a certain fund from the central government, because central government have the responsibility to take over the disaster in a state level also. So state exclusively state will take care of the certain disaster in the state, as well as in a central government will give fund to the each and every state government in a country. So the group is called the Crisis Management Group, under the chairmanship of the Central Relief Commissioner, comprising senior officers from the various ministries and other concerned departments, reviews contingency plans, measures required for dealing with the natural disaster, and coordinators the activities of the central ministries and the state governments in relation to the disaster preparedness, response, and relief. Which means we are going. This group will prepare for the rehabilitation, reconstruction, as well as the recovery process. Nature of the damage to house and infrastructure due to the disasters. So we can differentiate according to the disaster, according to the types of the disasters. For example, the outcome of the disaster differs from the each disaster. For example, cyclones will give various disaster, various outcomes, and earthquakes will give the various outcomes. So first one is earthquakes, cyclones, or floods can disrupt the entire livelihood pattern of the people. Next one is damage to house and other infrastructure can worsen the situation in the disaster and after the disaster. The victims who have lost their kith and kin have no option but to live in a transit accommodation if they lost their house and the property. So this will come under the purview of the rehabilitation process, which is not concerned the purview of the recovery process, because after the rehabilitation, there will be a fund allotted by the government and they will provide to the victims, and the victims will get used to it and they will recover from the such kind of disaster. And very first one is earthquake. So what kind of outcome this earthquake will give? So first one is there will be a collapse of building partially or completely, and lightweight building like um, building made of a wood or a kind of timbers or with the bamboos, there will be a more causes. There will be a more damages for the lightweight buildings, but the recovery process will be easy. But when it comes to the concrete building, both the recovery process as well as the disaster will be high. The loss as well as the recovery process will be high. So next one is non-engineered buildings suffer maximum damage due to the earthquake. So we can differentiate the building, classify the building into the two kinds. One is the engineered building and next one is the non-engineered building. So for the casual purposes or for any kind of occasional visits, we will be making the buildings as a non-engineered one. For example, the cottages. So at the time, if there is any disasters in a cottages, if there is any disaster in such kind of places, there will be a more loss. So the recovery process and rehabilitative process and the reconstruction process will be more. So next one is the construction failure is the principal threat to life and limb during a earthquake. So construction failure, for example, Mauliwakam, they started construction in a less soil fertility place. So what happened? The result will be shocking. For example, in a Mauliwakam, they constructed the building in a less fertility soil fertility place, and result will be like different. So they are facing the more disaster, and they are facing the more recovery process. So this is what will happen in an earthquake: ground shaking, ground failure, tsunamis, and fire. So the maximum damage in case of earthquakes is due to the collapse of constructed building and failure of infrastructural facilities. The building types can broadly be divided from seismic point of view into engineered building and non-engineered building. So we know very well which is a seismic. This is a way which occurs during the earthquake. Next one is cyclone. So we know cyclone is nothing but it is a heavy storm. What will happen if we are facing the cyclones? We would have faced the cyclones like Varda and Gaja and all. So after facing such kind of cyclones, we will having an idea what is the outcome of the such kind of cyclones. So types of damages which is most visible. One is a roof. Building failure according due to the cyclone is mainly confined to the roof. The gable-ended roofs are more liable to damage. The hip roofs, large overhangs also suffer more damage and can be easily blown away, which means it will blown away the roof by way of the cyclones. Then AC roof sheeting. So we would have seen the asbestos sheets and blue sheets, all those kind of sheets to secure ourselves from the heat. But at the time of the cyclone, this kind of construction will suffer more. Then RCC roofs and tiled roofs and masonry roofs. The masonry is nothing but the construction, the failure of masonry walls and buildings without the proper ratio of cements and without the proper ratio of soil and stone. If any building is built by the mason, then such kind of building will be a victim for the cyclones. Next one is a flood, and we know very well it will give the foundation shoring and settlement and subsequent wall collapse under hydrodynamic loads. Wall collapse either due to the inadequate bearing capacity caused by the saturation under heavy rain or due to the inundation leading to collapse of roof. And next one is the floating of roof due to the inundation leading us to wall damage. So we came across with a lot of videos and interviews in mass media at the time of the 2015 flood. So due to the less soil fertility, due to the more number of wet and more amount of flood in a place, it will damage the building as well as it will collapse the building and it will submerge the building by way of the flood. So now we are going to see about the funding arrangements in India for the disaster. So we know very well there is no mandate financial funding, which means there is no proper 5-year plans for the funding for the disasters, but they have the traditional knowledge and they have the kind of perception which there may be a disaster in upcoming days. So we have to use the such kind of funds for the disaster. So they will be using the such kind of funds for the disaster. The first one is natural calamities of cyclone, drought, earthquake, fire, flood, tsunami, hailstorms, avalanche, cloudburst, pest attack, and cold wave and frost and considered to be a severe nature by government of India. So these are all the things which we are facing in regular occasions. The expenditure by the state government is excess of the balance available in its own state disaster response fund. State Disaster Response Fund. So this is the state. The same way in central, they have the Natural Disaster Response Fund also. The Ministry of Agriculture is responsible for handling the natural calamities of drought, hailstorm, pest attack, cold wave, and frost. So, since we don't have any kind of exclusive body for funding for the disaster, in India, the government decided to give the responsibility to the each and every sectors which is taking care of the own nature of disaster. For example, if there is any kind of disaster faced by the agriculture land or agriculture, then it has to be taken care by the Ministry of Agriculture. And next one is all other notified natural calamities are managed by the Ministry of Home Affairs. It is a nodal ministry. It is a nodal ministry of disaster management in the country. There is no categorization of calamities mentioned in National Calamity in the Disaster Management Act 2005. So we know very well there is no categories of calamities mentioned as a National Calamity in Disaster Management Act. So as per the Disaster Management Act 2005, 15th Finance Commission recommendations, any notified calamity of severe nature will qualify of assistance from the National Disaster Response Fund. So we know very well there is no proper or fixed body for the disaster management. So if there is an important Finance Commission decide to give the responsibility to the National Disaster Response Fund to take care of the all kind of disaster and funding for the disasters. So monitoring and evaluation of rehabilitation, concept of monitoring meaning and object. So there is a 4 functions: providing management information, supporting management in improving performance, learning from experience, acting as an accountability tool to all stakeholders of the project. So providing management information, what kind of management? These are all the 4 functions has to be followed by the government. The monitoring is a continuous process throughout the duration of the project. So if you are going to take care of the project, for example, if you are going to provide the relief fund to the any kind of disaster, so they have to assess, they have to keep focusing, and there should be a continuous process throughout the duration of the project. The purpose of monitoring is to find whether the program is effective enough and the manner which the strategy should be modified to make sure that it is. To do this, it is necessary to monitor the program and projects, the process and the impact. So we have to, the government have to focus on the what kind of impact this disaster is giving and what kind of process we have to take in care. What kind of process we have to follow, whether it is an immediate process or whether we have to follow the process in for certain time period, or whether we have to fix this process for lifelong. So it has to be decided by the government. For example, due to the natural calamities, the many people would have lost their livelihood. Now they are living in a place where the government allotted for them. So this kind of process is for the lifetime. So this kind of process will taken care by the government only if there is a proper assessment of the disaster. The changes in the situation, including population movement, political changes, and changes in factors affecting health, nutrition, and socio-economic activities have to be monitored regularly. For example, at the time of the flood, the many people used to get some kind of infections. For example, cold, common cold, fever, some kind of junk food, like junk foods, like and all they are facing. So such kind of things and all have to be monitored by the government, and they have to provide the nutrition. So it is we know very well, according to the directive principles of state policy, the government have the sole responsibility to take care of the nutrition levels of the human. So they have to take care. So according to this disaster management 2000 Act 2005, the government has to take care of all kind of health, nutrition, and socio-economical activities has to be monitored regularly and they have to provide with the all kind of necessities and the needs to the victims. Uh, Fine. We know well what kind of process has to be taken care. First one is a post disaster management, and at the time of the disaster, present disaster management, and optimistically, so pre disaster management. So post disaster management activities are implemented, monitoring provides information or whether the project results are being achieved. The information produced by monitoring will clearly indicate whether the scope of the project should be modified or not, which means whether, for example, at the time of the first lockdown, they announced 3 days. Then they announced for the certain time period. So according to the grievance, according to the outcome, according to the impact, the government will keep monitoring and they will keep imposing the various kinds of process and progress. They will show the progress according to the outcome of the disaster. So this is the COVID-19 is a very good example for the such kind of progress. So we have a certain progress. The very first time, 3 days lockdown, and the week lockdown, and the 21 days lockdown, and now they extended to the till May 3. We are expecting we have an idea. So there will be a change in a upcoming lockdown also. So such kind of things and all depends on the progress. Such kind of things and all depends on the disaster we are facing. So it enhances the quality of actions, those who involved through the learning and accountability. Receiving information creates an obligation to act on the operational strategic implications. The selection of what information to collect or what indicators to use should be prepared on the basis of the initial needs assessment and modified according to the analysis during the flow. So, for example, again, take example the COVID-19. We government is ordering the sanitizers. The government will helping the doctors with the mask, with the various tools, because the disaster is getting vehement. So the government has to see monitor the progress. Government have to act and make the progress so effectively according to the disaster. So now we are going to see about the frameworks and what kind of management we are following in a country. The government has enacted a notified Disaster Management Act 2005 on December 26, 2005 to provide the institutional mechanism for drawing up and monitoring the implementation of the disaster management plans, ensuring measures by various wings of government for prevention and control of disasters. So before 2005, we don't have a kind of exclusive act, but after 2005, we have a act called the Disaster Management Act. So they have the framework. For example, FEMA. FEMA is nothing but Foreign Emergency Fund. So which has to be established as procedures, the national response framework that identifies the principles, roles, and structures to direct government response in times of disaster. The protocols provide coordination among state, local, and federal resources. The specialists from the various fields are assigned specific roles and objectives. The rebuilding damaged areas and relief efforts are also part of the national response framework. For example, we are giving the fund to the Kerala flood, and Kerala giving fund to the 2015. They gave the fund to the 2015 flood, and India giving fund to the various countries, and they are providing with the various medical, technical tools to the other countries. So these are all the things which comes under the purview of the protocols at the time of the disaster management. Only if the government have any kind of protocols, only if the government will be having such kind of tie-up with the various countries, they will be providing us the various technicalities and various help. They will do favors for us at the time of our disasters. So emergency management, government roles in a disaster management is to address the degree of risk present within an emergency situation. Hazardous conditions will be present, such as polluted water supplies, damaged power lines, and inadequate housing when needed. A defense Units such as National Guard may be called to maintain order within a disaster situation. Emergency management also involves the support necessary to prepare and rebuild a community in aftermath of the disaster. So emergency management, we know very well, government will do all kind of necessary things for the victims, as considered it as a emergency. So they have the certain principle. So according to the FEMA, the Foreign Exchange Medical Authorities, they will be have a management authority. They will be having the certain principles to help the foreign authorities. So likewise, only the China and USA, UK, and India is providing the various foreign exchange management assessment authorities to taking care of the disasters in the foreign countries. So that is the emergency response teams. The teams such as like Act is made up of the emergency response team located throughout the country. The team of the federal government during the times of crisis, the national disaster medical system refers teams. Each team is signed within a different specialty area, including search and rescue, medical assistance, mobile emergency support, and mortuary operation, and every district also having the to the places where the disaster is occurred. So at the time, the things will be rectified by the various disaster groups. So what is the pre-disaster roles and responsibilities of the government at the time of the pre-disaster measures? Keep and check the monitoring and implementing the disaster, earlier warning, planning and liaison with the different disaster management agencies, educating people about disaster management, stocking relief material, rehearsing the drills. So rehearsing drills is nothing but every company has a drill, fire drill. So what we have to do if the disaster occurs. So such kind of drills have to be conducted by the government in a pre-disaster process. Next one is during the disaster. This is a very effective process, has to be followed by the government. They have to launch and search rescue operation as quick as possible. Where there is a need, the government has to provide the all kind of rescue process, and later provide relief materials to the place, transport people to the safe places, provide temporary shelter to the people, immediately medical and health facilities to the victims, provide clean water and food. So not only the government, even the non-governmental organization and the laymen like us can also provide all kind of necessities and amenities to the disaster relief. Next one is a post-disaster management. Analyze the disaster, which means we have seen earlier the assessment of disaster, the complete assessment of disaster. Next one is a cleanup of rubble and rebuilding activities to begin. For example, when there is a disaster, we will be having a collapsed building and uncleaned area. So we have to clean all those kind of things and all, and we have to rectify the collapsed building. And next one is the preference to rebuild and restart the basic amenities. For example, we saw earlier the tsunami. After the tsunami, the government took responsibility and they built the concrete building. So this is the recovery process which is comes under the purview of the post-disaster management. So this is the role of government and NGOs. The first one is the disaster management is the pre and post responsive action taken to minimize the effect of disaster. So for the purpose of effective management, we have to segregate the disaster into the pre-disaster as well as the post-disaster. What all the things has to be followed in the pre-disaster management and what all the things has to be followed in the post-disaster management. We have to focus in a proper way. Not only the center, but the state also perform their duties during the disaster. The only aim is to minimize the impact on human and infrastructure, etc. So not only the central government have the responsibility, as well as not only the state have the responsibility, but even the non-governmental organization as well as the common man also have the very basic responsibility to take care of the victims, which is who are all suffering at the time of the disaster. Then the role of Indian government in disaster management. The role of during the different situation comprises the first one is identification of the place where the disaster is occurring, a national response, how to frame what kind of work they are going to do and what is the response of the times of disaster and how they are going to coordinate with the state and local and federal resources. So these are all the things has to be framework, which is nothing but the protocol. Next one is the emergency management. What all the emergency management and next one is to formulate the emergency response teams and to communicate what is the exact disaster occurring. So these are all the things has to be monitored by the government. Next one is a non-governmental organization. The role of non-governmental organization, we know very well that each and every non-governmental organization is running pillar to the post for providing the best management and providing the best rehabilitation as well as the recovery process to the government. Participative rehabilitation process, which is a case study. Successful disaster reduction strategies involve careful efforts to combine knowledge, technology, institutional capacities, management skills, and practical experience for optimum results. So we cannot just like that get into the rehabilitation process and taking care of the victims. So we have to assess what kind of mental state the victim is in, what kind of disaster they are facing, what kind of loss they have faced, what kind of impact the psychologically this disaster is giving to the victim. So all these kind of has to be assessed. These kind of things has to be monitored by the each and every bodies of the government as well as the non-governmental organization, so that they will give the effective relief to the victims. State can effectively link up the knowledge, technology, skills, resources, expertise offered by the special institution with the grassroots experience, organizational capacity, participative management skills of NGOs for disaster reduction. So these kind of things has to be monitored by the government, and NGOs can be innovative, rooted to the ground, and participating in their approach, with while government can replicate best practices for larger impact. So now, government of Tamil Nadu, for example, the law and order, they are using the drone camera to restrict the people to come out of the home. So this kind of process is the process which given by the taken care by the law and order. This is the one process. And another process is drawing a line and drawing a circle and make the people to stand in the line and making a social distancing from one person to the another person. This is the another kind of process taken care by the government. So they have to be very innovative at the time of taking care of the victims. It is whether it is a post disaster or whether it is the time of the disaster, the government act as well as the NGOs should act innovative process, innovatively or technically to eradicate, to wipe out the further loss. Participative rehabilitation process, which is a case study. Again, the case study. NGOs have become important players in the development process as well as the engage in the wide ranking. For example, now the Tata Group have sponsored 1,500 crores for the Corona Relief Fund, and various other cine actors and various other forums and various other people like business people funding to the central government as well as the state government for the purpose of the rehabilitation, for the purpose of the recovery at the time of the disaster as well as after the disaster. So this is the process has to be taken by the government, NGO as well as the various group of people. And this is the again this is a case study. Again case study until recently, except some NGO like CARE NGO in Tamil Nadu have Vidaigal, Aram, and so much of NGOs taking care of the disaster. So they will be providing the fund by collecting from the various sector of people in a society. So we have 29 and super cyclone in same 1999, and in October we have faced so much of super cyclone in the year of 1999, and in 2015 we have faced the flood, and 2016 we have faced the Varda, and 17 we have faced the Gaja. So all these kind of disaster is rectified and recovered by the non-governmental organization. The phase of rehabilitation: immediate phase, short-term rehabilitation, longer-term rehabilitation. The immediate phase, for example, rehabilitation. According to the laws, we can segregate the rehabilitation. For example, if there is a flood, or if there is any kind of fire accident, or if there is any kind of earthquake, the victims will be transferred to one person to transfer to one place, which is comes under the point of the immediate phase. Short-term rehabilitation. For example, when there is a tsunami, when there was a tsunami, the people, until they build the proper building, they will be they were residing in schools and colleges. So this comes under the purview of the short-term rehabilitation. And next one is a rehabilitation. Still, the government is doing a lot of process and progress, showing the progress to overcome the certain disasters such as 2015 flood and even 2005 tsunami. All comes under the purview of the longer term rehabilitation. So these are all the NGOs, and these are all the things which has to be which done by the NGOs at the time of the disaster. And with this, we are winding up the class. Thanks. Thanks.